Verse 423. Since sentient beings are differentiated as to their mentality and individuality, the Buddhas who have achieved self-mastery over their minds teach the ignorant the 7 stages. So we've got an apparent scenario here, haven't we, of these wonderful Buddhas teaching the ignorant. And these Buddhas are particularly adept in teaching because they realize that who they're teaching are different. They've got different degrees of realization, and so the Buddhas teach accordingly. So this is the conventional understanding of such a verse. And it's totally at odds with the whole spirit of the teaching up to this point. And normally when I come across this phrase, the ignorant, I apply it to the enlightenment practitioner. Being an enlightenment practitioner is not a steady path. There are times you're on the ball, and there are times when you've definitely and probably most likely catastrophically lost it. This is the way it goes. And it's when you've lost it, or when you're not quite on the ball, that you're in a state of ignorance. But if you're an enlightened practitioner, there's something else going on. It might be at a particular moment you could no longer be described as an enlightenment practitioner, such as your fall from grace. But if there's been any work done in the past, any insight realized, then it's something that we can come back to. And this is called the development of the will body, the will to come back to realization. So we've got an opportunity, whenever we're in a state of ignorance, we have an opportunity to tune in or develop the will once again to enlightenment, to come back to being an enlightenment practitioner. So it isn't that there are lots of different sentient beings with different mentalities and individualities. All of this exists within the one individual. Within the one individual, there are different mentalities, different individualities even. But if we've got a history of enlightenment practice and we can become aware that we're not operating optimally, then we're practicing self-mastery, because we're no longer going on automatic. We're saying, hang on a minute, I'm missing the point here. There's something I need to open myself up to. So this is self-mastery. And it's here that you come back to practicing the self-bhumis. The previous couple of verses have been about the latter bhumis, the 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th bhumis, which are to do with the culmination of enlightenment practice. Well, it's not so much the culmination as a particular aspect which involves teaching, consolidation and teaching. This consolidation and teaching can go hand in hand with the first 7 bhumis, which are about that initial insight being fanned. being encouraged, being fed, being reinforced, being established in. And the seventh stage was described in the previous verse as the far gone, which means you've gone beyond conventional understanding, and your understanding is proceeding from your own insight afresh. So what are these 7 stages? Well, I've covered this before. I think the importance of this verse, though, because it's referring to the first 7 bhumis after covering the 7th to 10th bhumis and beyond, I think the important thing to realize is that you're not leaving these first 7 behind. You're going to have to come back to them. Enlightenment practice is always about coming back to the beginning. It's always about remembering. Consciousness is always forgetting itself. The enlightenment practitioner comes back to remembering. This is the way it is. Verse 424 tells us, at the 7th stage, no faults arise as to body, speech and thought. At the 8th, the final abode of consciousness, it seems to him like having crossed a great river in a dream. So, body, speech and thought. This is the concern of the 2 vehicles. The vehicle of the Shravaka and Pratchika Buddha. These are the vehicles of conventional ethical practice and understanding and conventional meditation practices. At the 7th stage, the enlightenment practitioner need not be concerned about these, because at the 8th stage, the enlightenment practitioner is no longer taking his or her cue from what's going on in the apparent external physical world. Is no longer taking their cue from conventional understanding. And it's a wonderful simile, this. It seems to him like having crossed a great river in a dream. Because there's this feeling. I mean, this is the usual picture of the Dharma, isn't it? You're crossing this great river with the help of the Dharma to reach the further shore. But then you realize there is no river. There's no river to cross, because you've woken up. And all that effort was taking place in a dream. But now you've woken up from the dream. Another simile that's sometimes used is, it's like putting down a great weight that you didn't know you were carrying. What a relief. So there's a new sense of lightness. Lightness in every sense. There's no more heavy burden to carry. There's a lightness and sense of relief, and you can start taking things lightly instead of seriously. And there's also light in the sense of energy. This is what you relate to rather than physicality. Everything is light. A warm, loving, clear light.